For 40,000 years, a tiny battered probe drifted through the void, undetected, carrying a golden secret.
Lieutenant Talek, that signal. It is not random debris. Bring it aboard.
Object is small, metallic, no active emissions, but the metallurgy, it is older than any known wreckage.
Admiral Threx's 4 black eyes narrowed. An ancient artifact, drifting exactly along the Coalition's frontier patrol route. It reeked of intent.
Admiral, linguistic route detected. It is human script. Terran standard, pre-spaceflight era.
Human. Those creatures only made warp 2 decades ago. How old is this object?
The crippled artifact spun into the Vrenkal's Bay, its surface pitted by millennia of cosmic dust. Yet, the golden record still gleamed.
Full isotopic dating confirms. This probe was launched in the year 1977 by the human calendar.
412 years before their first faster-than-light flight. They placed their star map in the void, betting their descendants would be ready. Cease all patrol activity near human space. I want a full strategic analysis of this message now.
Inside the Vrenkal's analysis chamber, the ancient probe rested on a sterile pedestal, its golden record still gleaming under harsh light.
Admiral, the record is fully decoded. It holds a star map pinpointing the Sol system, fundamental mathematics, and audio.
A primitive species announcing its homeworld with exact coordinates. No empire does this unless they are prepared for what comes. Talek, the Coalition's own history holds the pattern. The ancient Haskari seeded anchor markers across the Perseus Veil. They were ready when the Zol arrived.
You believe this is an anchor marker, but humans only achieved warp 20 years ago. This probe predates them by 4 centuries.
Precisely. They launched it long before they could defend their space, trusting that their civilization would endure and grow strong. It is the ultimate statement of confidence. They threw their coordinates into the void 40 millennia ago as a promise. We will be here when you find us, and we will be ready.
But why music? Why include a record of their cultural sounds? Is that not a gesture of peace?
A reminder of what we would lose if we ignored their warning. This is not a greeting, Lieutenant. It is a challenge marker, and we have just found it.
In that moment, the battered golden record became a declaration of war, and Admiral Threx knew that the only sensible response was to answer it with absolute caution. The Vrenkal's war room projected a crimson outline around Sol Sector. Admiral Threx stood motionless, his mind racing.
Talek, search the historical archives. How many precursor artifacts later became battlefields?
17 cases, Admiral. 12 were anchor markers. In every instance, the species that placed them later dominated the region.
Now overlay our operations near Sol. The humans would see our patrols as probing attacks.
3 sensor intrusions, 2 close patrols, 1 lunar flyby, all in the last cycle. Standard procedure, but
to them, it is obvious reconnaissance. We have been testing their defenses while they waited for us. Recall everything from the Sol border. No probes, no scans. We are hours from triggering a preemptive strike.
With a shaking hand, Threx composed a direct peace overture, a request for face-to-face talks with the nearest human command.
They could see this as a trap. The moment we lower shields, they might fire.
Transmit the message immediately. Full transparency. We must prove we are not the aggressors.
Deep in human patrol space, the USS Intrepid received an encrypted burst, a formal request for unconditional peace talks from the Coalition flagship Vrenkal.
Captain William, you need to see this. The Coalition, they're asking for a face-to-face meeting. Terms of non-aggression.
The Coalition has been rattling sabers for months. Why would they suddenly propose peace? Ensign, verify the sender codes. Is this genuine or a trap?
Codes are authentic, sir. Admiral Threx himself signed it. They're offering full transparency, complete sensor logs.
All right. If they want to talk, we'll talk. Plot a course to the rendezvous point. Best speed.
Sir, they're also requesting a personal meeting aboard their ship. You and a small guard.
Walking into the lion's den. But if it prevents a war, it's worth the risk. Confirm we accept. Helm, Take us there, and let's have the crew at general quarters, just in case.
The Intrepid banked toward the unknown, its crew settling into a tense, uneasy watch, unaware that their answer to the alien message would reshape history. The two ships hung in the void, the Intrepid a tiny speck against the Vrenkal's cathedral-like hull. Every Coalition weapon was visible, yet all were powered down.
They could swat us like a fly. Why the charade of peace?
Weapons cold, Admiral. The Intrepid has lowered shields.
Open a channel. Human vessel, this is Admiral Threx. We request you send a delegation aboard immediately. Safe passage is guaranteed.
Understood, Admiral. We accept.
A narrow umbilical tunnel connected the two ships. William, with two armed guards, stepped into the alien atmosphere, the air metallic and cold.
Everything here is built for beings with three-jointed limbs and violet skin. If this is a trap, we won't see it coming.
At the far end, a tall violet figure waited, Admiral Threx himself, flanked by officers whose 4 eyes tracked the humans' every step.
Captain William, welcome aboard the Vrenkal. I assure you, no harm will come to you here.
William met the alien's 4-eyed gaze evenly, noting the near imperceptible tremor in Threx's hands. Something had this commander truly scared. The docking bay doors slid open, revealing Admiral Threx standing alone in the center of the cavernous space, cradling a small, battered object in both hands.
Captain William, we found your challenge marker. 40,000 years drifting. It is the most arrogant gesture in galactic history, and we respect it completely.
Challenge marker? That looks like a piece of pre-space junk. What is he talking about?
You seeded your coordinates into the void 4 centuries before you had ships fast enough to defend them. You bet that your descendants would be ready, and you won.
We did not expect such a rapid interpretation, but I am authorized to discuss terms.
Terms. We ask only for non-aggression. Our patrols will withdraw permanently. We recognize Sol's sphere of influence.
They're surrendering. The Coalition is surrendering because of this. Trinket, we accept your proposal, Admiral. Let us draft a treaty, but first, tell me about this object. What do you believe it represents?
It is a warning shot, Captain. Your ancestors told us exactly where you would be, and that we should beware. We have no desire to test that patience.
William nodded slowly, the weight of the artifact now heavier than he could explain. A 40-year-old golden record had just rewritten interstellar politics.
Your people threw a stone across 4 centuries, betting we would find it, and you won the bet.
He's giving me the entire script. I can play the long game strategist they expect. You understand our intent well, Admiral. We build foundations for future generations. We accept non-aggression. But we require a formal treaty, filed with both governments. Let it be official.
Of course. I have a draft prepared. Shall we sign it now?
Threx produced a holographic document, translated into Standard. The relief on his face was genuine.
Just sign it, William. This charade is working, but every second risks exposure.
With a steady hand, the captain scrawled his name onto the treaty, ending a war that had never started.
Thank you, Captain. The Coalition will honor this accord. Your wisdom will be remembered.
William nodded. Still holding the probe, he had just won an interstellar peace. With a museum piece he couldn't identify.
Captain, as a gesture of mutual respect, the Coalition offers full access to our trade routes, a technology sharing agreement, and a mutual defense pact.
We accept, Admiral. Let these terms be appended to the accord.
You honor us. We will stand with your patient species against any who would doubt your resolve.
They shook hands, one trembling with relieved terror, the other stiff with bewilderment. The war that never was over. William walked back through the alien corridor, the battered probe heavy in his arms. His guards were silent, their faces masks.
He's coming back. And he's carrying... what is that? Did we just win a war with an antique?
The bridge fell silent, As William stepped inside, the golden record still glinting, he set it carefully on the central console.
Sir, you signed a mutual defense pact based on a 400-year-old piece of space junk.
Apparently, Ensign, that junk just won us an unconditional surrender. Now get me a secure line to Earth Command.
As the Intrepid broke orbit, the bridge erupted in nervous laughter. None of them knew what they were holding, but it had changed everything. William ordered a full spectral analysis, his own curiosity now eclipsing protocol. The probe sat on the lab console, insistent.
Isotope matches late 20th century Earth manufacturing. I am cross-referencing the database. Sir, you need to see this.
On the screen, an archived entry. Voyager 1, 1977, NASA, carries a golden record with sounds and images of Earth, a message of peace to any who may find it.
A peace greeting. A naive, beautiful, century-old hello, and they surrendered to it. They mistook a 1970 as mixtape for a strategic beachhead, and they surrendered. The entire coalition surrendered to a museum piece.
We just bluffed the entire coalition with a science fair project. This is the greatest diplomatic accident in history.
Get Earth Command on the line. Priority channel. They need to know that the most feared fleet in the sector is terrified of our grandparents' record collection.
The bridge crew wiped their eyes, but under the humor, a new gravity settled. This accidental peace was now a living treaty, signed and sealed.
We have a mutual defense pact based on a golden record. Earth Command is either going to pin a medal on me or court-martial me for fraud.
Voyager 1 sat innocently on the console, its golden record still carrying a child's hello across 40,000 years of silent space. A secure channel flickered to life, projecting the stern faces of Earth's diplomatic corps into the Intrepid's briefing room. William stood, the probe behind him on the table.
Esteemed envoys, the Coalition offered unconditional surrender today. The reason is, an ancient Earth probe they mistook for a strategic challenge marker.
Silence. Then, a senior envoy's voice cracked through the speakers, half laughing. Captain, are you telling me a 400-year-old golden record just won us a war without firing a shot?
Exactly, sir. They surrendered to Voyager 1, a NASA project from 1977. It carries a greeting record, not a threat.
Another voice, calculating and sharp, cut in. Gentlemen, this is an unprecedented strategic opportunity. We must ensure the Coalition never doubts this interpretation.
They're going to double down on the bluff. And I am the one holding the prop. What are your orders?
The lead envoy's reply was immediate. Bring that probe to Earth under maximum security. Until then, not a word about its true purpose to anyone.
Understood. Intrepid out.
The channel closed. Voyager 1 was now a state secret and an accidental weapon of mass diplomacy. William shook his head, already imagining the paperwork. Months later, Earth's diplomatic corps codified a new doctrine: intentional artifact seeding. Stealth ships began launching decoy probes into Coalition-patrolled space. The first decoy, a triangular artifact etched with human star maps, was released near the Veil, its signal deliberately weak but detectable.
Admiral, patrol vessel, Krell just intercepted another artifact. Same human metallurgy, different star map. They are still seeding.
A second marker. They are not finished. This is a species that thinks in centuries, not cycles. High Command. The humans have launched multiple anchor markers. This confirms the Voyager was not an isolated incident. They are declaring their presence systematically.
The High Command members exchanged glances. Their most decorated admiral had delivered them a doctrine, and the humans were proving it true.
I request a permanent task force, the Human Artifact Analysis Division. We must catalog every marker.
The request was granted instantly. Threx was now the galaxy's foremost authority on human strategic deception, and he had never been more certain of anything.
Patience, they called it. These humans think 40,000 years ahead, We were wise to sue for peace.
Across the veil, the next decoy was already drifting, its false message spreading, and the Coalition's new task force was eager to receive it. Threx's lectures became mandatory for Coalition officers. A packed hall hung on every word as he dissected human strategy patient predation, measured across centuries.
They scattered their markers, knowing we would find them one day. That is not arrogance. It is mathematical certainty.
Admiral, another artifact cataloged. This one mimics a human satellite, Sputnik-era design, but with a star map hidden in the chassis.
On Earth, a quiet ceremony pinned a new star on William's collar. Commodore, now his victory, was the most classified joke in human history.
Promoted for bluffing an empire with a golden record. The medal feels heavier than the probe ever did.
In a sealed briefing, Earth analyst debated the next decoy. Make it look like an early lunar lander, primitive but deliberate. Threx will love it.
Just make sure it looks authentic enough to fool an admiral who already wants to believe.
Each new artifact reinforces the pattern. The humans are not just patient, they are relentless. Phallic, note the evolution in their designs. They are revealing their technological progress through these markers. It is a masterclass in psychological warfare.
The decoys multiplied, Threx's division grew, and the lie, now reinforced by 1,000 data points, became the most stable truth in the galaxy. A year later, Admiral Threx stepped onto Earth as part of the first cultural exchange. His first request was to visit the museum housing the original marker.
I must see it with my own eyes, the seed that reshaped Coalition doctrine.
He stood before Voyager 1, the battered gold disc gleaming under museum lights. A plaque beside it read, "Accidentally conquered the galaxy," a translation that made him exhale in awe. Unbeknownst to Threx, Commodore William was also there, in civilian clothes, on shore leave, drawn to the exhibit by a mix of irony and nostalgia.
Of all the museums on Earth, he had to choose this one.
Commodore William, I did not expect to find you here.
Admiral Threx, a pleasant surprise. I come here sometimes to reflect.
It is the greatest strategic artifact in history. Your people's foresight still humbles me.
We're proud of it, but I am just a soldier. The diplomats handle the philosophy.
Threx interpreted the deflection as profound humility, further proof of human patience. The two men stood silently before the artifact, the weight of its accidental legend pressing down.
Commodore, I must ask, your ongoing artifacts, the Sputnik decoys, is there a meaning to their evolution?
He's asking about the decoys. I need to not sound like a strategist. I am not privy to the design philosophy, Admiral. I am just a patrol captain. The artifact program is compartmentalized.
Of course. Operational security. Even among allies, you maintain the game. Admirable. This first marker, though, it remains the keystone. Your people's gamble and our lesson. I have studied all your markers. They tell a story of gradual revelation. First, a map, then mathematics, then music, then technology. A patient disclosure.
If he only knew the music was a folk song and a kiss. You've given it more thought than most humans, Admiral. Our ancestors would be intrigued.
I must return now, but meeting you here has been the brightest moment of my life. Thank you for your wisdom, Commodore.
Threx departed, his conviction absolute. William exhaled, the lie holding, but the weight of the secret pressed heavier with every reverent word. Back aboard his ship, Threx retreated into human archives, centuries of war, art, and science. He consumed it all, searching for deeper strategy.
Their wars are brutal, but their patience is woven into everything. Every ruin tells a story of long-term thinking.
A holographic image of an early satellite stopped him cold. Sputnik, a primitive orb with trailing antennae, launched 2 decades before Voyager.
This object is simpler, yet it predates the marker. Why launch a peaceful satellite before issuing a challenge?
For a heartbeat, the entire structure of his belief seemed to tremble. Then his training reasserted itself.
Number, a reconnaissance probe. They tested our detection capabilities, gathering data before planting the true marker. It fits. Talek. Add Sputnik to the timeline. Pre-marker reconnaissance. The humans were mapping our sensor nets even then.
The doubt dissolved, replaced by an even deeper certainty. The contradiction was not a flaw. It was a feature, proof of a layered strategy.
Every artifact is a chapter. The story is too vast for coincidence. These humans think in epochs.
Thus, the most damning evidence was folded seamlessly into the myth. Threx closed the file, his doctrine stronger than ever. A junior analyst in Threx's own division filed a preliminary report. The Golden Record's audio, translated, contained greetings of peace, not threats.
Admiral, the analyst insists the primary message is goodwill. It contradicts our entire interpretation.
If this spreads, the Coalition will see our doctrine as baseless. The peace will shatter.
Threx ordered the analyst brought to a sealed chamber. Alone, he looked into the young officer's 3 eyes.
You have found a surface-level message, but the true meaning is deeper. This peace is a lure, a false comfort. If your report reaches high command, they will misinterpret it. War will follow. You will be responsible for billions of lives.
The analyst's hands trembled. Threx's authority was absolute. Slowly, the officer nodded.
Mark your findings as inconclusive. The Artifact Analysis Division will handle classification.
The analyst obeyed, sealing the truth behind a firewall of bureaucratic language. Threx watched, his conscience a quiet wound.
A necessary lie. The peace is real. The truth would destroy it.
That night, Threx accessed the Golden Record's audio, the very sounds he had dismissed as a psychological lure.
A child's voice, raw and unguarded, spoke a simple greeting. No threat, no hidden meaning.
55 languages followed, then a mathematics primer, and finally music from a lost world.
They sent their identity in equations and melodies. It was an invitation, not a challenge. If I am wrong, I have buried their purest gesture under a lie. But the peace is real. Billions live safe. Can I risk war for the truth?
His hand hovered over the command to broadcast the true translation. The cursor blinked, patient.
To reveal it now would be an act of cruelty, not honor. It would destroy the trust we've built.
He sealed the recording in his safe, the same safe that held the Treaty of Perpetual Peace. The lock thudded shut.
Some truths are poison. Peace requires faith in fictions. I will carry this weight.
Under a great crystalline dome, 1,000 diplomats gathered. Human and Coalition banners hung side by side. The Perpetual Peace Accord was ready for signing. Commodore William and Admiral Threx stood side by side on the dais, the treaty projected between them. Their hands touched the glowing document simultaneously. The accord sealed billions of lives. As the final sigil locked, the hall ignited with applause.
You know, Admiral, this all started with a little probe.
Indeed. Humanity's greatest weapon was patience. We are honored to have recognized it.
If only he knew it was a greeting card for aliens who'd never find it.
I will never speak the truth. This accord is worth the weight I carry.
They turned to face the crowd, raising their hands together. A holographic image of Voyager 1 spun gently above them, a symbol of what both sides believed. The delegates bowed. A new era began. And so, a battered golden record, cast into the void in an era of vinyl and radio, became the cornerstone of a galactic peace, accidentally. In a private lounge beneath the Capitol, Earth's diplomatic corps raised glasses. The air was thick with champagne and disbelief. A senior envoy lifted his glass higher. To Voyager 1, the accidental conqueror of the galaxy. Laughter burst through the room. Commodore William stood by the window, pride and guilt churning silently.
We toasted a lie, and they'll never stop toasting it.
At dawn, Voyager 1 was moved under guard to the museum's Hall of Peace. a brighter, taller alcove. A polished metal plaque was affixed at its base, engraved with the words, "Accidentally conquered the galaxy." William attended the quiet unveiling, hands clasped behind his back. A few tourists glanced between him and the probe.
History's most absurd legend, now set in brass.
Within a week, the phrase became official coalition propaganda, a tribute to human foresight and patience. The lie was immutable now, cast in marble and light. There was no turning back. The gallery buzzed with alien tourists from a dozen species, all pointing at the battered golden disc. A violet-skinned parent knelt beside their child, gesturing toward the plaque. They explained how the humans had seeded this warning into the void millennia ago. The coalition recognized the threat and wisely sued for peace. The child's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. But why would they warn us? The parent's voice dropped. Because they are patient hunters, little one, Commodore William, in civilian attire for a rare museum visit, caught the words. His jaw tightened to keep the laugh inside.
Patient hunters, a golden record full of lullabies and greetings.
He exhaled slowly, a breath that shuddered with the effort of silence, and turned away. Around him, the myth continued to sprout. Every alien face reflected the same conviction. He walked out into the sun, shaking his head, a laugh finally breaking free as the doors slid shut behind him. 5 years later, the Voyager 1 exhibit was the most visited pilgrimage site in the galaxy. Lines stretched across the museum plaza. The plaque's phrase had become a cultural staple, appearing on merchandise and in school curriculums across the coalition. A coalition historian published a book titled "The Warning Shot Heard Across the Cosmos." It became required reading in military academies. The author dedicated it to Admiral Threx for his foresight. In a classified vault beneath Geneva, a small team of human historians studied the original record, their faces aglow in its golden light. They noted the alien translations of the greetings contained alarming inaccuracies, friendship mistaken for threat. But rather than expose the error, they smiled and locked the findings deeper still. The head archivist murmured, "They hear a declaration of war in a lullaby." By then, the myth was self-reinforcing. Every new decoy confirmed the narrative, and the legend grew unstoppable. The golden disc spun gently under spotlights, its true purpose known only to a silent few. And yet, a few feet from the grand display, almost invisible against the floor, lay a second plaque, smaller, darker, easily missed. Its surface was tarnished, its lettering etched in a typeface meant for classified files. Only a handful of visitors ever saw it. Classified. The true origins of this artifact remain sealed by order of Earth Diplomatic Corps. For official purposes, it is a diplomatic tool. Beneath the grand irony, buried in a footnote, the state still lied, and the lie was its most effective weapon. The golden record, once a child's greeting, had become an instrument of accidental dominion, a truth locked away in a museum's shadow. And thus a 40-year-old golden record did what no warship could. It accidentally conquered the galaxy. The probe's glow faded, and the starfield beyond the museum dome emerged, indifferent, eternal. In the silent void, the golden record continued its eternal drift, its true message unaltered, a hello that would never be heard. Fade to black.